Jo, welcome back. It's great to have you back as always.
Thank you.
Your theme on relationships is sparking a lot of interest from people. And people are throwing a lot of interesting questions. So tell us about relationships.
So the relationships for me is across the spectrum. It's not the most obvious, which is intimate relationships. It's all sorts of relationships, whether it's friends, family, colleagues, and then obviously the intimate relationships. And then, of course, there's the relationship with yourself as well.
And that's a key one, the relationship with yourself. And I think, I think back to my life and how important it is. There's certain cornerstones that are fundamentally important. Share that with us. That's an important point.
For me, as you've said, and in my experience, the cornerstone for me in what I've experienced and observed is authenticity. And authenticity comes from truth. But primarily, it starts with truth with self. Are we altogether honest when we embark on relationships, whether it's work or whether it's at home, where we are comfortable to be all of who we are, where we share our truths, our likes, our dislikes, our values, what's important to us, what's not important, what are the deal breakers, but we always want to make nice and please the person, it's not so bad, and well, I'll just let it go, but they're actually things that gnaw away at you. And 3 to 6 months into any relationship, you're starting to find fault with the person. So now that proverbial honeymoon phase is over. Now you are getting more into your truth, but your truth is bubbling and gnawing away at you, and it starts off in behavioral isms. So snapping, biting, sarcastic remarks. We're not still telling the person what we want, what we don't want, what's important. So A, you're not getting what you want. You're not being truthful with yourself. You're not being truthful with the other person. And they think, is this the person that I met? It's not even the same person. And that's where the ructions and the frictions start, because we haven't been honest, and yet we want to blame them for what they're not giving us.
Wow, it's quite an impact, I think, and when you look at how people's relationships can dissolve down the road. I mean, authenticity is such an important part. How would someone be more authentic in their relationships?
The starting point is being authentic with yourself and being comfortable with who you are, no matter what, because it's going to emerge somewhere, somehow. We are already a well-oiled machine over many years through experiences, etc. And to suppress who you are for yourself is a dishonoring of you. To not be your truthful self to someone else is not only a dishonoring of you, but it's dishonest, and to the other person. So you're setting the relationship up to fail. And we often look to somebody else to blame for what's gone wrong with the relationship, but we co-create it. We actually set the trajectory. And the way we started, we can guarantee that the ripple effect is going to be at our hand, and yet we blame the other person. So it's about being that honest, talking about the important things. And if you see a relationship is emerging, let's use the intimate relationships. What are the 2 things that people avoid talking about? Money, children, sex. And those are the 3 things that destroy relationships. Now, if we get the hard stuff out the way, you can enjoy the easy stuff, because who you are is going to emerge. It's like an actor. An actor goes onto the stage for 2 hours, and then they drop the role and they go back to themselves. The same thing. You can only act for so long. The real you is going to emerge, and it's going to be painful for both you and the other person, and so unnecessary. You can iron out the creases and make wise decisions about relationships early on by being honest with self and being honest with the other person. And honesty takes courage to be your authentic self and like and love who you are, no matter what, whether people like you or not. But we need other people to like us more, and we're not taught to actually like ourselves.
You touched on something very valuable, and I think you said something about values. Now, how would you see values in a relationship being important?
Well, values really drive who we are. And those are the things that niggle. So when somebody annoys you, affronts you, upsets you, it's invariably a value that has been violated. So, for example, I'll use myself as an example. Relationships are one of my highest values. And when I feel people disregarding and disrespecting relationships and treating them frivolously or mindlessly, I get upset. But that's because of my story, and I've worked long and hard to learn about relationships because I value them so much. So when they are devalued by someone else, it tweaks me. However, instead of being tweaked by the person, I can either educate them and teach them what's important to me, or I just let them go without blame. Because when somebody does something, you've got choice. It's information. It's not about the person. That person is teaching you something about you that you need to honor. So it's about saying, this person has done this. Do they fit with my value system? Or am I just going to suck it up because I'd rather have someone in my life than no one at all? So that person doesn't know your value system. You haven't communicated it. So we have expectations. And expectations are disappointments in the making. You cannot meet somebody and automatically assume or expect that their values are yours. You cannot expect anything of anybody that you haven't communicated to them. It's not fair. So we have these unrealistic expectations, and when they're unmet, we blame the other person, but we didn't communicate it. And values are a fundamental discussion that needs to be had early on, whether it's a work relationship or a personal relationship, because that also, the people that you align with are the people that you swim with ease with. But when there's this jarring, it's just not a fit. It doesn't make either of you wrong or bad. It's just not a fit. And then leave each other with the respect and part ways. But what do? We grind and we point fingers and, but you didn't do this and you didn't give me that and you this and you that. But what did I allow? What was my role in co-creating that? Because you only get what you allow.
That's beautiful. Well, I know we're going to talk again on communications, which is another key cornerstone, as we could put it. Thank you so much for that valuable insight, and people look forward to joining more of your series.
Thank you so much.